What's up, guys? We're back with Taint the Camaro. In the last video, we got it going, didn't we, Cody?
Yeah, man.
Drove it around, did our first burnout. All in all, it's working pretty well. No big issues so far. Trans is a little funky, 4L60 type things. But we did notice our oil pressure gauge and our coolant temperature sensor gauge is not working on the dash. We've got some broken fittings and sensors, and some holes are plugged here and there. So what we did is just went and bought some aftermarket gauges that we're just going to mount to the dash, and that's going to be for our oil pressure and coolant temperature. And we also have a voltage gauge too, so we can make sure everything's charging right. So Cody's sitting down here right now trying to map out what we got going on. So this is an old head that we had. There is a port on the side of it. There's one on each side. So our factory sensor sending unit for the coolant temperature is busted, broken. So we have a new one. So yeah, here's the old one. Here's the old one. The sender's all messed up, probably not even gonna read right. So what we did is just went and got an aftermarket one.
Yep.
And we've got it sized up with an adapter to make sure we can fit it in the head. So Cody's gonna start working on the coolant temperature sensor, getting it all mounted in there.
It goes in there.
Yeah, that's fine, whatever. And then for me, I pulled this little plug out of, it's right above the oil filter back here. So this is just a little plug that blocks off a little oil port. So I'm actually gonna tap in right there to put in the oil pressure gauge, so we can watch that. So what we're doing right now is just starting to get everything ready, make sure everything is gonna fit right. And then once we get them mounted in the car, get the gauge mounted in the car, we're gonna start wiring up the lights for them. And then we're gonna get all the adapters inside the engine and the head and everything like that. So we'll give you an update in just a few minutes as far as where we're at and what it's gonna look like. So we'll see you in a minute. So my least favorite part about gauges is what part, Cody?
The installing.
The whole thing. Getting through the firewall.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna drill a big hole. We don't have a drill bit too big, so I'm gonna use some air tools. You gonna get that line out of your way? So it's been 6 hours since we drilled a hole in the firewall.
It's been 84 years.
84 years. We've done a few things backwards, but that's okay. So when you're installing these gauges, make sure they're in this little pod before you wire everything together, because once it's wired, you can't get it in there because you've got to slide all the wires through the hole. So for that one, we had to cut the bottom of it and wiggle it in there, and it was janky. But the more you know, right?
These.
Yeah, those are okay.
Bloop.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
Specifically that water one we had to do that with. So we're inside the car now. We tried to find a place. We've got a switch 12-volt source. Finally found that, because surprisingly there's not a lot of electronics left in this car. So it was a bit of a headache trying to chase a single wire down, but I think we got one. So we're about to do the bulbs, the voltmeter. We've got the coolant temperature all wired up. It's in the block. Everything under the hood should be done. So now it's just a matter of mounting the gauges and wiring the bulbs, make sure everything's wired right, and then we're gonna test it out. And also the car had some trouble cranking in the last video, but we think it was due to some loose battery terminals. So we of course just did the professional thing and stacked up some washers on the terminals.
yes,
So I think that fixed that, but we can test that in just a little bit.
more connection.
Yeah, totally. And so I'm trying to think.
Time to drill into the dash.
Yeah, time to drill into the dash. You looking for this?
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you. You trust me, right?
Yeah. You got it? You got the measurement?
Yeah.
All right, after about 4 more hours, yeah, try them out and see what happens. Hey, I see lights. How do I get my light? Hold on. Yeah, they're lit up. Cool. Looks good. Now, volt gauge is working. Let's make sure nothing's under the hood, and then we'll give it a test run and see if this thing will crank on the battery. Do you think he flies?
Yeah.
You think he does?
Yep.
I ain't gonna touch him. All right, you gonna try to crank it?
Yep.
God, about 87 hours later, all the gauges are installed and wired. Let's see if it can crank on its own power. You got oil pressure?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what's up.
Water's starting to climb a little bit.
Alright, we'll let it warm up. Let's see what we can get to. We are charging.
Yeah.
That's good. This is a good jumper table. I didn't see any leaks. Alright, that's going to do it for the gauge install. The next issue is going to be why it's overheating, because now that we have a coolant temp sensor, we can see it's climbing up to like 240, 250, wanting to go up to 260. So we've got to figure out why it's running so hot. So that's probably going to be the next video, and get some tires on the thing too so we can actually drive it. And so, Cody, you want to say bye?
See you, bye.
See you, bye.